Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to change this Valvetronic on this car ourselves because BMW wanted a fortune from us. Very simple little part, but it fails on most BMWs. Now first thing we're going to do is remove this plug from the air filter. I'm going to use this with a little picking tool, and be sure to remove it carefully because they tend to break. Next we're going to be removing the little ring that holds the hose to the air filter box. We're going to use this with a little flathead. You don't have to take it off completely. Just loosen it as much as you need and put it down a little bit just so you can pop the air filter box easily without any problems. Now we're going to slowly remove the actual filter box housing from the car. Do this slowly so you don't break anything. There's three little bushings that hold it. They pop off really easily. No extra work needed. Be careful with that little hose that's hanging down. Make sure nothing happens to that. Also, don't forget to cover that hose with a little towel or napkin or something. Next, we're going to be removing this positive cable or wire that goes along the back of the board of the engine. Just remove it slowly, just like so. Don't touch it anymore. Just be careful while you're working around it. Next, we're going to try to take this plastic cover off. I forgot what it covers, but all it's held by is like a T25 screw. All I have to do is just take it out and pop the cover off. Next, we're going to take the back little panels off. I think it's, I forgot what the wrench size is. I might show it at the end. But you just twist them counterclockwise and they just pop right off. And I think the same is for both of the sides. Same goes for the other side. Pretty simple. Just turn them counterclockwise. There's little arrows on them. They're pretty simple. But be careful with them. They're also fragile. Everything on BMW is fragile. Just be careful with it. Next, we're going to take the bar off. We just got to pop this little cover off. There are approximately 4 screws, I think, but first I have to pop these little plastic covers in the back, and then we can have access to those 2 bolts, and then there's 2 bolts on both on each side. I'll go over on the other side, and I'll show you what it looks like on where it looks like on this side. Yeah, so there's 4 in total. Now all we have to do is just unscrew every side. They're not too tight. If you need a bar, you can use a bar. But I think the back was 17 and the sides were 15 for I think it's a half inch for the torque wrench. But keep in mind, guys, if you're going to do this, I recommend putting everything in little baggies and marking them where they go. And here is the size wrench I used and the socket size that I actually used to take those off. Now all I gotta do is just take the bar off. It may take a little bit of wiggling around, but it comes off pretty easily. Just slides right off. Just remember the position it goes in, the way the bolts go in. Now we're gonna take the cover off. It's with the 10 mil, and there's I think 4 on the left side and 3 on the right side. Now again, I highly recommend taking little baggies and marking them where they go and what they are and for what size they go in, for it to be easier to put all back together once you're done, because trust me, it will be a headache. Now we're actually going to try to pull the cover off that covers the bar. Also requires a little bit of squirming, but it's fine. It comes off pretty easy. Now keep in mind, guys, BMW wanted 3K to have something like this simple replaced, so do it yourself. Now what we're going to do is take the plug for the high pressure fuel pump off. Just comes right off, and take the little cover off, and that's it. Now we're actually going to attempt to take the high pressure fuel pump out. All you need to do is just take a little wrench, loosen those nuts, keep napkins close to you because fuel will spray out a little bit. Don't be alarmed by that, but keep in mind, guys, you need the battery disconnected, because if you open a door or somehow electricity gets into the car and the fuel pump turns on, it's gonna spray fuel everywhere. So just loosen both sides, the high pressure side and the low pressure side. Loosen the nuts, get them out of the way, and then we can freely take the fuel lines out and take the high pressure fuel pump afterwards. Next, I'm gonna take my star bit wrench, and there's 2 on each side. This is the cover that goes under, that holds the high pressure fuel pump in place. There's 2 on each side. Be careful not to drop these 2 screws into the engine compartment. I already did that. It wasn't easy to get out, but it's just 2. Keep in mind, keep napkins nearby for you're moving it around for any fuel. Not to get anywhere they're not supposed to. But yeah, it was pretty simple. Just those 2 little screws on each side, the right side and the left side. And then I also don't forget, get baggies, put them in the bags, mark it where it goes. It's not that hard. It's literally, it saves you so much time later, and stuff like that. These were kind of hard to pull out, so if you need, maybe I use the whatchamacallit, the screwdriver. You guys could probably use a wrench or a socket wrench for that. But yeah, that's it. Now we're gonna move on to taking the fuel pump out. Now for this, I'm actually going to take the fuel pump out. It comes off pretty easy. All you do is just pop it right off, put it on a napkin here, not to get all that stuff, junk everywhere in the garage. Next, remove the plug from the fuel rail. Now we're gonna try to take the fuel rail out. Now each side is held by these little nuts. You need to have this right there. See, that's how they join together. Fuel will come out a little bit. I'm not saying crazy. Just the fuel that's in the lines will come out. So I did this with a napkin, making sure it doesn't get anywhere. All I have to do is just slowly loosen it. First break it with a wrench, and then with your fingers you can slowly unscrew it and wipe off any of the excess gas that comes out. And yeah, but keep in mind that whenever you take it out like I tilted it so that I don't get fuel all on the floor. Now it's gonna come off pretty easy. Just pops right off. Forgot to tell you guys, there is 2 brackets in there. Pretty simple to take off. And I'm gonna take it outside so that I don't get any fuel in the garage and it smells, which it is gonna smell. But now in the back, there's the part that moves the eccentric shaft up and down. We're gonna remove the plug. To remove it, you turn it counterclockwise or clockwise and pull it right out. Comes off pretty easy, just don't break it. Now this is the actual part that moves the eccentric shaft. It's really hard to get to. It's in the back of the motor. Here are the 3 bolts. You can see them. Now what I did is I put the bit into a little socket and I used a little wrench to turn it, because it was really hard. You can't put a socket wrench in there. And I would first loosen it with my little wrench, and then I would try to take it out with my fingers if I could. There's 3 of them. They're really big. You can see them. And they come off pretty easily. This is how big they are, and this is what I used. Next, we're going to pull the little part out. All you have to do is just reach in and just wiggle it out, in and out. Be careful when you take it out. Do it slowly because there's oil on it. And the position that the actual thing that moves the shaft is in, it's in a specific position. Don't turn it, because once you're going to put it back together, it's going to be really hard to guess how it goes and how the thing that moves the eccentric shaft is in. But yeah, it's really tight in there. Try to pull it out and everything should be good. Next, we have a couple plugs that are in our way to removing the valve cover. We're just gonna pop them off. That's how they go. Little alligator clips. Pop right off, take them out of the way, and that'll be it. Next, we're gonna try to remove the little vacuum lines. So what we're gonna do is, there is 2 bolts on each side. Also the star bit. Both of them come off like this, and there are sensors on the bottom that we're going to take out. Also oily. Be careful. Maybe have a napkin nearby. But also keep in mind which side they go on. There's different numbers on this side, on the right, and the left. So just pop the little sensors off. They're pretty easy to come off. What I had to do is I actually had to hold down the clip and push it up and then take it out. I tried with my flathead, didn't really work. Only works when I push it up. And all of BMW's clips, they have like a little gray lock in the back. If you pull them down, if you push them down actually, that's what is going to release the lock in order for you to take the sensor out. Yeah, it's BMW engineering, but it's pretty smart. At least the plug holds well. After that, you can just remove the 2 little vacuum pumps, and it'll be it. Now, I got excited at this part because I thought I can remove the Valvetronic how it is, but turns out it's just the cover. So to take off the actual cover and gasket off of the Valvetronic, I forgot what it was. I think it was an 8 socket that I used, size 8. And it has a little cover and a gasket on the bottom, which you're gonna have to buy a gasket set to replace all these. Now we're gonna attempt to remove the fuel injector plugs. They go on top of the fuel injector. All you have to do is just slightly pull out and release the lock, and then you can get something put in between the little lock and pry it out. You'll see how I'll do that in a second, but I highly recommend that you mark where each plug goes and mark each of those plugs individually. It's 4 cylinders, so I just did 1, 2, 3, and 4, starting from right to left, just so I don't have any problems later on. Which, if you're going to change these, which I recommend changing, you're going to have to remember the number in order to reprogram them for the new ones. Once you have taken all of them out, you can take the little plugs, or not plugs, sorry, there's a wire harness in the back. It's pretty simple. I would also recommend marking everything. There's a little housing that holds these wire harnesses. There's also a couple screws that are holding it, but mark them too, which one goes to which. Take videos if you need to, or watch this again, but all these plugs and wires, they all mean something and they're all important, so mark, record, whatever you need. Next, we're going to remove the little plugs that go into the actual fuel injectors. Be careful, they're really fragile. I think I broke a clip. Now if you break the clip, they're not going to hold on. You're not going to have any contact between the two plugs. So I just used a little flathead screwdriver, pushed the lock to the side, and I just pulled it right out. I would also mark where they go, because you're going to be moving everything around. Might mix up. Now this is the wiring harness that I was talking about, the little cover, the housing that holds them all. There's 3, 2 on the front, 1 in the back. That might be a little hard to get to, but it also comes off, and it also will need to come off because it's preventing from the valve cover from coming off. But yeah, that is it. Now that little cover the housing wasn't really easy to take out. It required some amount of movement in the back, and it's really tight in the back, which I don't like about BMW's design. Everything's so tight and everything's so hard to get out. But just move your way around. There actually is a wire in the bottom. So it's a random wire that you need to pop out before see it's holding it for me right there. It's on a clip. I would also take pictures and mark how they go, so later on you don't have any wires hanging and then they get damaged or something, or whatever could happen to them. But yeah, just wiggle it around, see what you can do, see what's missing or what's holding it back. See, there's plugs that I had to remove and mark also. Now guys, I already went ahead and took the valve cover off. It was pretty easy. There's bolts on every side, pretty easy to take off. They don't fall off, they're all attached to the thing. But next you will have to do is take the fuel injectors out. Now to do that, you need to buy a fuel injector kit, otherwise you will not be able to remove them. And after that, it's simple to remove. The reason that we have to remove the fuel injectors is because the housing is in the way of removing those 2 little plugs. But remove the bolts and you should be good. There's gaskets, replace those. Pretty cheap, around $7 on FCP Euro. Now the rest is pretty simple. Once you have all this removed, you need to take the oil sprayer off that's on top of the Valvetronic. You need to take the eccentric shaft positioner. You need to take that off, and you need to take the Valvetronic bolts off. Once you take the Valvetronic bolts off, you can turn it sideways. It's a pretty simple procedure. After that, all you need to do is pull it out and put everything back together. And to put everything back together, the torque spec is 10 Newton meters. After you're done, don't forget to buy all the necessary gaskets for the valve cover and any gaskets that you pull out. After that, when you put everything together, don't forget to leave the car on and to cycle it first so the Valvetronic can reprogram itself. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe, guys.